Don't pay off your mortgage. 50-year mortgages beat 30-year mortgages because that way it will take you longer to pay off your property. You get a half century. Maybe you'll never get it paid off, and that is actually a good thing. In any structure where you're trying to pay off your mortgage sooner, you are making an expensive mistake in almost every case. I'll put real numbers to it here, showing you just what I mean and how this can help you from losing hundreds of thousands of dollars throughout your lifetime. Also, people don't even buy property based on its sale price or its mortgage rate. Did you know that? I'll tell you why. Hi, I'm Keith Weinhold, getting iconoclastic with you here today. Get Rich Education founder, Forbes Real Estate Council member, and find my work in the USA Today. Earlier this year, the White House announced that they consider declaring a national housing emergency. Though we haven't seen that declared yet, the motivation behind it is largely to make housing more affordable. One piece that's been floated out there is the introduction of a 50-year mortgage where you would have 5 decades to pay. That way, payments are more spread out, therefore lower than what they would be with today's most popular mortgage in America, by far, the 30-year fixed rate mortgage. Now, I wouldn't say that a 50-year is imminent, but it could be creeping closer. I mean, a 40-year mortgage, that's already more of a thing. You've got 40-year HUD loans and 40-year DSCR loans, both already for residential property. We do know that buyers don't buy a house so much based on the sale price of that property or the mortgage rate either. They buy based on a payment amount, which aggregates those two things, but there's more because that payment amount is also based on the duration of your mortgage. 15-year, 30-year, 40, or soon maybe 50-year, also known as your amortization period. And I will break down the 50-year mortgage advantage next. But first, let me use an example that you're more familiar with because these options do commonly exist today, and a lot of people are getting this all wrong. It is usually ill-advised to make extra principal payments on your 30-year mortgage, treating it more like a 15-year. Say that you borrowed $400K on a 30-year mortgage at a 3.5% mortgage rate. All right, well, your monthly payment would be $1,796. And some think, if I just throw an extra $1,000 a month at it, I will be debt-free years sooner. And yes, they're correct. You will save $90,000 in interest and own the house outright earlier. But the question that few people think to ask is, what is the opportunity cost of doing that? If that same $1,000 a month instead went into investments earning even 7% annually, well then after 15 years, that grows to $316,800, and now you've got a mountain of cash that's 3.5 times what the interest rate savings would have been, which again was only $90K. For some, paying off the mortgage, it sort of feels like an emotional win, but it is rarely the best financial win. And as we know, when emotions go up, intelligence goes down. I'll address the emotional component of this shortly, but accelerating your pay down, that is like benching LeBron to save money on Gatorade. What a waste of a talent and opportunity here. It's like, what are you doing? Let's use a different example with a 50-year loan, something that's still rare to non-existent. Now, if I could somehow magically snap my fingers and convert all of my 30-year loans over to longer 50-year loans, I sure would, because it would lower my payment and increase my income, my positive cash flow. Yes, my debt would hang around longer, and we're right back to, you guessed it, financially free beats debt-free, an enduring mantra here at Get Rich Education. Let's compare the 50. On a $300K loan at 6% interest, a 30-year mortgage payment is about $1,800 a month. But on a 50-year loan, that would be just about $1,580. $1,800 versus $1,580. Well, that's going to boost your cash flow about $220 a month on that property just by going from a 30-year to a 50-year. Maybe not as much of a difference as you thought actually, but probably still worth doing. And again, you already saw what happens if you would try to aggressively pay off the longer term loan sooner. You save in interest, but you lose more by not getting an offsetting investment gain that's typically multiples larger. At least in the mortgage world, this misdirected crusade toward debt-free, that makes a lot of people grind and toil and work overtime and lose family time and eat dirt for decades because inflation works against them. And I am specifically talking about mortgage debt here. For sure, some debt is bad, like unsecured high interest rate credit cards, or doing a buy now, pay later plan on a pizza that you split into 4 payments. I mean, that is ridiculous, and you've also got to pay those debts yourself. That's not what we're talking about here. On a rental property, your tenant makes the entire principal and interest payment for you. In fact, it gets even worse for the person that targets a status of being mortgage debt-free. That extra $230 a month payment by having a 30-year loan instead of a 50-year loan, what that means is that you're accumulating more dollars in the home, which are illiquid. The rate of return from property equity is always zero, because a property is going to go up in value or down in value regardless of how much equity you've got trapped inside it. A debt-free person can still be broke in the short term if they have a meager income, and broke in the long term if they are not leveraging assets and debt. Being mortgage free, I mean, it's kind of like bragging that you quit the gym so that you'll never pull a muscle again. I mean, you're safe, but you're going to be weaker in the long run. Debt-free is the floor, financially free is the ceiling. Financially free means you have so many income streams that you can live the life that you want to live. And if you're just waking up to this, it's okay. I once had a 15-year mortgage instead of a 30 before I understood this. Hey, I've got more vital takeaways and epiphanies for you on this, and I also want to tell you how I invest personally. First, go ahead and put a like on the video if you like how I'm breaking it down, and thanks in advance for the thumbs up. 40 and 50-year loans, they are what's known as non-qualified mortgage types, non-QMs. In many cases, meaning that they don't meet the standard underwriting rules, especially the rule that a qualified mortgage term should not exceed 30 years per the CFPB, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau's guidelines. And now, you might not be surprised that I have never owned a paid-off home or a paid-off income property, even though I have the ability to do so. Instead of making mortgage payoffs, I get a better return on using those dollars to make more 20 or 25% down payments on even more properties. There is, though, an emotional component. It does make some people say, look, at least in my primary residence, I feel like it's nice to have that paid off. I like that feeling. And they say, I don't care what the numbers are. In my own dwelling where I sleep, I want that peace of mind. I mean, that is what some people say. And to that, I've got 2 things. Look at your net worth statement. You've got all your assets on the left and all your liabilities on the right. Say that it takes $300K to pay off your home. Well, if you've got $300K or more in liquid assets, well, then you have the ability to go pay off that home. So take peace of mind knowing that it is therefore paid off on paper. But once you do it in real life, chances are that you are paying an opportunity cost by losing returns, and you're less liquid because there's now maximum equity in the home. So that's the first of 2, the net worth sheet approach. The second approach to quell peace of mind concerns about not having a paid off home is that your home is never paid off. Even if your mortgage principal and interest payment is extinguished, you're still going to owe money in property tax, maybe property insurance, and an HOA. So a home is never paid off. Those popular call-in shows where people are advised to diminish their very quality of life in order to get debt-free, oh dear, I mean, they have got to be screening their callers closely to ensure that no one savvy actually gets on the air. Hey, how about someone could be you? If they let you on the air, get on that show and ask them some tough questions about getting mortgage debt-free. Yeah, tell them that your ROI on all that equity is zero because home values change regardless of your equity position. Tell them that a home is never paid off because in any case, you're still going to owe property tax, maintenance, repairs, utilities, and maybe insurance and HOA dues. Tell them you lost the gift of inflation eating your debt while you sleep. If you pay off your home, that goes away too. Tell them mortgage interest is often tax deductible. Tell them their leverage is gone if they pay it off. I mean, and all these facts are now figuratively yelling, just screaming, because markets of all types are near all-time highs. So instead, years ago, if you had used those funds to pay off a property, oh, they would have missed out on earning big returns for years elsewhere. So suffice it to say, I would love to see the widespread adoption of 50-year mortgages, and I would probably use them. Even better would be interest-only loans, which I do use when I can. And the other thing that would happen with widespread adoption of 50-year mortgages is that it would make home prices rise even further because more people can afford the lower payments to bid up the price. And by the way, you can find 50-year mortgages in Europe and those with even longer terms. So they are out there. Despite conventional belief, mortgage rates are not currently high either. 7.7% is the long-term average going back to 1971 per Freddie Mac. They've got the best stat set on this. So actually, here's something that I'm wondering about with you. Did you ever have a paid off property, realize all of this, and then go in and get new financing on it again? If you have, that would be really interesting. Let me know in the comments here if you've had a property in paid off position or even substantially paid down position and you realize the vulnerability and the opportunity cost of having all that equity, so then you put debt back on it. Tell me in the comments below. And that process is known as equity harvesting or equity stripping, by the way. I've found, that when most people have a property paid off, they just sort of keep it that way. More likely, though, tell me in the comments if realizing this made you get a 30-year mortgage even when you could have afforded the higher payment on the shorter term 15. And another downside of these shorter term mortgages like a 15 is that mortgage loan officers will tell you that it increases your debt to income ratio, so that you're going to have trouble qualifying for other loans that you might want. And here's what else is interesting about all of this. Out in the world of real estate agents, where people are buying and selling property and making offers, well, when a buyer's agent knows that the listed property is owned by a seller that still has a mortgage on it, the assumption is that that seller is more motivated to sell since they still have to make those mortgage payments on the property. Oh, well, that is exactly backwards. In most cases, you should be more motivated to want to sell a property if it is in paid off position because you've got all that dead equity in it that needs to be untrapped, released. You've got so much tied up in the property. So really, a listing agent should be thinking, gosh, this seller has got to sell this property with urgency because they have lots of equity tied up in the property and they've got no mortgage on it. That is how to think about it. The world has it 100% backwards. I mean, that mindset is 180 degrees from the truth. And the really good news is that you get to enjoy the use of your home regardless of how much money you have locked up in it. Window watching during a thunderstorm, making cider on a stove, building a blanket fort, reading a childhood book out loud, opening Christmas stockings under the fireplace. Have more peace doing all of these things, knowing that money is out working for you and not locked up illiquidly in concrete and drywall. And this knowledge can save you hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars over your lifetime. And to make it more real for you, learn about how I stripped the equity out of my own home right here.